button up my sweater. We are live, but the sun is very hard to see. There's water in that. Yuck. Ah. Okay. Weather permitting. If it doesn't rain on us again, those clouds look ominous. But they could go either way, honestly. Might rain on me a little bit. I'll just have to go with it. Now I have to add water to my clay. Looking out my back door. That clay right there, that is the good stuff. This clay isn't that awesome for pottery, but when you mix it half and half with the store-bought stuff, it gets it done. But this clay by itself is only good for making bricks, according to a geological study done in 1941. Geological? I don't think it was a geological study. They were studying all the different kinds of clay in the state, and it was paid for by the state, and they logged in this great big old PDF file what type of soil it was, how it was created, and what the makeup of the soil was, as far as like if it was aluminum or a lot of iron, things like that. And then they said that look to see what the clay would be good for. But anyway, in this area there was a big brick kiln for the longest time, and we had a train station going through, and it took a lot of the bricks and timber out, and that was one of our things that we manufactured, and now we don't manufacture those here anymore, which is a bummer. So because honestly it is the outsourcing of everything we need that makes it difficult for us to win a war. Ask the South, they did it to themselves. Oh, there's a termite in there or something. You can't live over here. Well, you're not a termite. You gotta live somewhere else. Go on. Actually, I think I squished it by accident. It's been sunny and not as rainy, so the clay is hard. I have to add water and work it now. Anyway, I see 2 people. Yay! I don't see chat coming up. I haven't done a whole lot of lives on YouTube. I've done them mostly on TikTok. So if something isn't rolling up the screen, I'm not sure what's going on. Other than that I see now 0 people. So I'm looking at the screen once in a while, but I'm also getting work done because it might rain again. Oh, that's cold. So 2/3 of clay and 1/3 concrete mix. We have 1. I can only see that number if I put something behind it so it's dark. Right now I'm breaking up the clay because I have to work it and make it sloggy again. Because it's kind of this and that. And I need it to be like mud pies. It's cold. Cold, cold, cold. This shit got me warm water. When working with cod, use warm water, unless it's a hot summer day. It's easier on you. And it's hard on your hands, so wear 2 pairs of gloves. Work gloves, yeah, but they get super heavy after a while because this stuff doesn't like to come off. And surgical gloves work good, but you're blowing through them a lot, so these are my preference. I don't like to be wasteful, but I also don't like to get wet hands. It's cold. Now, work gloves kind of help protect from cold when you're wet. I guess I could, there's a trick you can do where you put a pair of these underneath a pair of work gloves, but then you're still dealing with the thing where the clay sticks to the work gloves like crazy. And they're always bigger than my hands, so I have these big things on my hands. I don't know how to explain it. It's awkward. And it's wastes a lot of clay. Would you get out of there? I'm not ready for you yet. Go over there. I'm trying to make the big clumps turn into little clumps. Cold. It might rain on us again. I see a big gray cloud coming this way. But they're all broke up and there's sun and blue sky in between them, so could go either way. I might get drizzled on. I feel like a million words for rain here. So 2 parts clay, 1 part cement mix. And I wet the clay first to make sure it's good and gloppy, and then I put the dry cement mix in it. And then mix all that up really good. Kind of like when you're making bread. You mix, or anything, pancake mix, cooking. You mix the dry ingredients first and the wet ingredients first, and then you put them together. So they're all mixed thoroughly. Kind of like that. And you don't block your stuff over the side and waste it, because it's too hard to get it. Okay. I think that's going to do it. I need to put just a little bit more clay in there. But now I'm down to, and I dug this clay into my driveway. Isn't anything special. I have 1. That's what I'm doing. I'm checking up here to see how many viewers there are. Ugh, messy, messy, messy. Kitty, go away. Can I get more water? I'm dipping water out of a container I have over here that has some trees in it. I'm trying to make them root. They're alders, and I cut them off of somewhere up on the hill. If they were a bunch of new shoots that blew in and all took root by my shed, so I had to cut off the big branches sticking out that were trying to grow over the top of my shed. And then, so I just brought them down here and stuck them in this barrel of water, and I figure if they make it, they make it. They don't, they don't. So oh, we have two. So, cob, 2 parts mud or clay, 1 part cement mix. And then we mix in the straw. But I gotta have the clay to be in little chunks first, because otherwise it won't mix up well. And then you'll have big chunks of clay, and the point is to get the cement mix and the clay mixed well together so that, because they dry and they shrink at different rates. So I'm getting rained on. It's just a drizzle. Rocks. Rocks in my mix. They're not rocks, they're where the cement mix has started to make chunks. It's irritating. Pay through the nose for this stuff and it still makes chunks. Because the little rock chunks don't go through the chicken wire as well. So I had chicken wire on my chicken coop already, and raccoons will pull that out and do anything they can to get in. It's not strong enough. Quit raining on me. You just blew right over and quit raining. I don't want to get rained on. I want to get a few things done besides sitting around knitting, which I enjoy too, but I need to get my poor chickens out of that hoop house. Poor little babies. They've been in that hoop house on the ground forever. And things pick on them there too, but they just can't get in. Yet. Anyway, since I have to lock the little boogers up all the time, because if it isn't the raccoons and the minks and all the other fun critters that want to eat my chickens, it is the hawks and the crows and the buzzards and you name it. You name it, there are a million things that want to eat my chickens. And do you think with all the forest land around here that they would do the nice thing and hunt the mice and, do all the stuff that they say they're supposed to do? Oh, they're going to hunt the wild things and not the livestock. Yeah, right. They take the easy prey that's trapped and can't go anywhere because they expend less calories chasing it. Fact. So, don't let anybody tell you that garbage. Because that's what it is, garbage. Okay, this is pretty gloppy still, which isn't normally what I do, but I'm gonna probably mix in some more cement mix later. So 2/3 clay, 1/3 cement mix, and I like it gloppy to mix my hay in because it gets the hay good and wet, which makes it more flexible and go into the mix better. It's just easier to mess with. And then I'll dry it up a little. And I make little batches at a time. This is a container I found laying around. It was one of those containers you catch oil with underneath your car when you do an oil change. So I grabbed that. It doesn't gotta be fancy. All of this stuff is literally dirt cheap. Okay, that's one goopy pile. This is hay too, it's not straw. Cob technically is clay, sand, and straw. But our soil is pretty sandy already, and I use hay, and the worst case scenario is that stuff grows out of the cob, but it never almost never has. And this isn't structural, it's just a layer, about like a layer of sheetrock on a layer of chicken wire that's already there. Speaking, yes. Come on, I brought over too much hay, getting in my way. Okay. Go on, rain clouds. You just go somewhere else. You just go over there. The neighbors aren't working outside. I am. It's raining. I can handle a little sprinkle, but if it gets yucky, I'm gonna have to go in. And then this live will unfortunately be over. And that is the nature of living in Western Washington. I don't see anybody chatting. I don't know if I set the settings to where they're not doing their thing or what. Or is it gonna hail on me again? Yeah, it's hailing. I already did that once today. We should do something different for a while. Like sunshine, crazy thought, I know. Boy. That's almost clay slip. And at that consistency, it doesn't like to stay on the chicken wire. It likes to limp off. Go away, hail. We're not doing rain on me today. We already did the rain. I got stuff to do. Tired of being inside. Thank you. Now keep staying away. So I take a little bunch about that big of hay and sprinkle it. You don't want it all in one clump because then it'll forever be in one clump and you won't be able to do anything with that chunk of pop. Because it'll be having excessive hay. It has to be all mixed thoroughly and evenly. And you get a feel for it after a while. There we go, it's firming up now. That's why I make it glop here. Because by the time I get all the hay in, it gets pretty firm. And it doesn't squish very well when you have a big clump of hay like that. That is too much hay in one spot. Just gotta break that up some. Come on. Now my gloves are coming off. They do this anyway, but even more so with work gloves. Just like making mud pies. Okay, because it's raining, I think I'm going to go ahead and take my chances with this batch. So, you see all that straw in there acts like rebar. So, I'm checking the numbers up here. I don't see anybody chatting and asking questions. It might be because I put my settings. I left the chat open. It said allow comments, and I did that. But anyway, what I do, because I don't like a lot of waste when I go over there, because cob will drop pieces and you'll have a big pile underneath where you're working. I hate that. So I will take little hand-sized things. See, that's kind of too much straw again. It'll do. And I make little balls and I stack them all up inside my container, and then I take it over to my wall. That way, when I get there, all I got to do is go like that and slap it on. Actually, I don't slap it on. I gently push it on because my chicken wire has been sorely abused by all the animals trying to push their way in. So it's floppy. And if I slap it, I will knock the other stuff off. So I have to push it gentle and, be gentle with it. But that's why I do a couple batches at a time. I mean, small batches, and then a couple batches each day that I'm doing it, because after a while, it depends on the weather, your stuff can't hold any more weight until it's dried. So, because cob will support its own weight and be quite strong after it's dried, but when it's wet, it depends. You can tell stuff starts falling off. You're like, okay, I'm done for the day. So, but after you do it for a while, you get kind of a feel for it so that you can see how much you can get away with. But yeah, the straw or hay acts as rebar, rebar in cement, and then holds the stuff together so that when it's all dry, you gotta take a sledgehammer to get it off. So, and then I've got cement mix in it too. So, and that will make it resistant to the rain. You'll see, I don't know if you can see over there, right there. That's my existing wall, and it's been there for like a couple weeks. It's not going anywhere. But I got the idea because cob, there's lots of cob information out there, but it's not code, so people don't use it very often because the code people don't like anything that isn't stuff you buy at the store. And so when you try to do alternative building methods, it's extremely expensive, which is counterproductive to the purpose of using cob. That you don't have to be, richy rich to make your own dwelling, that you have the right to do. You have the right to live. You have the right to eat. You shouldn't have to pay through the nose for these things. But in an ideal world, that would be the case. But we live in a world where there are certain politics, at play, that they think, oh, more rules, more government. Somebody's going to mess things up. And sometimes people do. But it kind of sorts itself out, Like on the other side of the state, I know somebody that they got the electrical inspected to make sure it wasn't going to have a fire hazard. And then they were able to use their own materials and build their own house. Like they milled their own lumber from their own trees. And nobody came out and inspected nothing. And it kind of takes care of itself. So, and actually over there, they don't actually have a big DRUG problem and they didn't have a problem with people wrecking the place during certain historical times either, because they tried to, the people that were doing that were coming over and set up their little protests, which they came, the folks that lived around there, they said, hey, do your protest, but we're going to make sure that you don't do anything else but protest. And they didn't like that. They wanted to be free to wreck things. And then they tried to say, oh, they're RACIST. And they were like, no, it doesn't have anything to do with it. You're just not going to do to our town and in our corner of the state what everybody else did, what they did over there where I live. And so they said, do your protest. That you have the right to protest. You do not have the right to riot, wreck, and loot. So, because that's actually against the law. And it comes to mind because of all the stuff that's going on. So really, if you get technical, blocking those bridges and stuff, it's not affecting the people that make the laws that that affect those policies. It's only affecting the working men, and it's really just holding the working men hostage. And if the working men had anything to say about any of that, don't you think we'd have made a few changes already that were in our favor? Duh. So it's juvenile. Okay, I have a big ugly rain cloud coming. See this thing? I am going to hopefully not get rained on and put this over here and set it up. And then I will go up and get my come on, do not rain. Rain is bad. Okay, I will be right back. Okay. I have a feed sack on my bench so I wouldn't get a wet butt. Okay, what do we got? I'm going to fill in this hole. So it's kind of gloppy. But now that I've made my little mud pies, that's all I got to do. This is kind of the easy part. And yeah, there's cracks, but okay, let's get closer. You stay away, rain. There is one little gray cloud that's almost over the top of me. I don't want to get my phone wet. So you push it into the chicken wire and smooth it over. And if you're gentle about it, it stays. I should have made these smaller. I started getting impatient. But anyway, I don't mind working with it over my bucket, and then there's no waste. So, because I don't like little chunks of stuff on the floor underneath where I'm working. Because I worked hard to get this stuff, and I don't want to waste it. Go away, rain. Sometimes if it doesn't want to stick, I squish it down into a hole in the chicken wire. That way it's not sticking out. And then when I get the whole wall done, I'll come back with a layer of concrete. Maybe clay and concrete mix, maybe just concrete mix, I'm not sure which. And paint over it with a paintbrush. And then that'll solidify all that real nicely. Because this ain't going anywhere. I'm going to have to use extra clay in that spot. I can see that now. That's one of those spots where the animal pushed it in. Anyway, so that's like modified cob, because cob by definition doesn't have concrete in it, but they made papercrete bricks, and I got the idea because I watched my dad do fence post holes and pour in concrete, but he'll mix in dirt with the concrete and stretch out the concrete some, the cement mix, and it works. So I thought, well, why can't I do that with my cob? So, And why do I do all this? Because I've been waiting for hubby to fix this for a year. Guess what? He's not fixing it. He's working. He fixes everybody else's house, and then he comes home and doesn't fix mine. So I have to fix things. And he doesn't like the way I do it. But you know what? I say, do it yourself or zip it. Because if it ain't done after a year, I got to do something. My chicken's got to get out of there. I don't have time to make everything absolutely perfect. See, that don't want to stay on there. And sometimes it is that I just have to lay on a little thicker layer because of how wonky the wire is. But that's okay. And sometimes it doesn't like to stick to the dry stuff. I should have took a squirt bottle and did it, but I keep forgetting to do that part. And that's why it cracks. And it cracks because it moves. So if it doesn't move at all, then it'll dry normal. And that's the importance too of getting everything mixed thoroughly, because again, you can see the places where it cracked, it's more brown. You had more dirt there versus concrete mix. I said stop raining on me. No, you did not. We're not doing that. Rain doesn't bother me, but it's not good for phones. Oh, that's squishy. Squishy, squishy, squishy. I'm using my knuckles to push it in and slide it over and kind of blend it in some. And the thin spots are where it cracks. But that's why you put a slip layer over the top, which is what that is with the paintbrush. No rain. That cloud's almost over top of it, but there's a gap of blue, and then there's another little rain cloud behind it. And then after that, there's only white puffy clouds. So I can just wait it out. By golly, I got my animals done first. Because if I don't do that first, I won't have any physical energy left to do that. Because I got to run up a couple of hills, and I didn't have to do hay bales anymore. I think I hear my horses. My horses are loose. Inside the property, but loose. I haven't mowed in 5 years. So, and maybe we got 2 people. Oh, look. Okay, I see little letters down there. Orf. Hold on. Keep streaming, I think is what it says. Oh my gosh, those are tiny letters. What you playing in there? Okay, tiny letters. This is Cobb. And this is my chicken coop. Tiny letters. That's worse than TikTok. There's this thing on there where it says you can stream to another screen, and I think I see why that's a thing. I'll have to figure out how to do that. Because I know I can put YouTube on my TV screen, but my TV's inside. So I'm going to haul my big TV out here and stick it to the wall on the side of my house, right? Yeah, Cobb is 2 parts clay, well, this cob. It's 2 parts clay, 1 part cement mix, so it resists weather, and then a little bit of straw for rebar. And then you can get yourself a literally rock solid wall. And coyotes and raccoons won't be able to dig through that and get my chickens. And it'll help keep them warm too because it cuts out drafts. But it's a little gloppy. I should have put some water in my clay while I was sitting on here. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Anyway, that's it. It's more labor intensive than anything. But if you can get people to help, it's a fun day. We did my old house where I used to live. It was a junker, and we were broke, and we saved money on some sheetrock for the walls because everything was freezing. And so my husband found some insulation that was used but still in good condition, and he redid the walls and the ceiling. So for the ceiling he put the sheetrock on, but for the walls we did this, and it was smoother than this because the wire was tight. So, but we did a really heavy straw mixture, so it was more straw than clay for the first layer, and we took on 4-inch fence wire, and we draped it over and rubbed it smooth over the top of the insulation. And then after that we did this layer, and then after that we did a slip layer, and we had a nice looking wall. But my husband had to put a more support underneath the house to make sure that it could bear the weight. But I guess it was heavy, but it was still only about as thick as sheetrock when it was dry. It was just, it didn't have fiberglass in it and paper on it. So mud pies. Remember mud pies when you were a kid? Same thing. Okay. When, oh no, that's the chat. I wonder if it's lagging really bad. It doesn't tell me what kind of connection I got going on, because it still showed the introduction part on the chat screen for the longest time until it showed those 2 little comments. So you have to tell me if the connection is laggy or really bad. I don't have the best internet connection, and I'm working on that, but bills, animal vet bills. That's why I do this. I do this all to support my animals and to teach homestead skills. But you know what? The vet don't work for free. I'm just saying. Because I have worked the math for going to a regular job over and over and over again, trying to find a way. And it's just not cost effective in this state anyway for me to drive to work. I will actually bring in less money than I had before. How messed up is that? This is why I wear this big old coat over the top of this, because I get really messy. Anyway, sometimes you can hang it top to bottom, but most of the time it's bottom to top. It depends on how well it behaves. Sometimes I'll do it in a circle until I get to the middle. It depends on how stiff your clay is and how well it's sticking for the day. How much the sun's shining and drying it, It's kind of an intuitive thing, just like clay is. Clay is kind of intuitive too. You learn the material as you go. At least I do. See how this moves? It only moves right there, but the rest of this doesn't move. Okay. I only have 2 little chunks left. No, you're going to stay on there. Now my gloves are going to stop coming off. So I make it as thin as I can before I stick it on. And then it keys into the holes of the chicken wire. And then I squish it a little in the holes so that it stays on while I'm smoothing it out, mostly. And it's not going to be perfect. And later I come back and use my slip and fill in any bumps and holes, and if I want to. That's the thing about cod. You do pretty much anything you want. And that is that batch. See, now by the time I get this next batch mixed up, this will have hardened a little bit, and I will have a little bit more stability to build on top of. And I'll probably finish this hole today. I'll fill in that hole. But I like these surgical gloves for working with it, even though I break a lot of them, because the stuff doesn't stick to them as bad. So I'll take off one of my gloves and move the camera again. And move the rock. Oh, none of the pins. None of the pins. None of the pins. None of the pins. Okay, there we go. Oh, I see 1 like. Thank you. I appreciate that. The likes all help. Trying to get to a place where all these forums pay me. YouTube in particular has been particularly stingy. TikTok has paid me a little bit. And Amazon paid a little bit, but we're talking a couple bucks, okay, in a month, which is an improvement because I made about 20 bucks in a year from them. Oh my goodness. Okay, that's my numbers that I've been online. For a minute I was getting really excited because I thought, oh, I have 4,000 people, but no, I've been on 4,000 seconds or something like that. What am I planting in there? Oh, that's what that question was. What am I planting in there? Not planting anything. That's just the weeds that grew up. That's my chicken coop, and it's been empty for a year. And my chickens are in a hoop house right now because predators were eating them like crazy. So, and the hoop house is the only place where they have an unalived. Isn't it great that we're not allowed to say that word? America, land of the free. Free something. Okay. Garbage can. I got plant roots in there, but I just don't care. It's not going to hurt anything. If grass grows out of it, the chickens will eat it. So it won't get a chance to grow and be a problem because they'll just gnaw on it. Okay, that one can go away. This will be a smaller batch. The chickens won't eat it, FYI. Free comment. The chickens will too eat anything green. They eat anything, they've done it before. They eat anything green that shows up in their coop before it has a chance to go anywhere. I don't know where you come up with that. Will they eat the cob? No. But they will eat any plants that grow out of it. Like the little roots, see? Some people get very purist about cob. And that's fine. You do you. Ah, that's cold. I'm getting down to the last part of this bag. It's mostly rocks. The rocks are annoying. That's lots of rocks. I have to be picking rocks out of there. I don't like the rocks because when I'm mashing it, they hurt. I feel like that one. Normally I take another rock and I mash those rocks into powder again, and I just don't want to right now. Because I just want to get this done now. And this is Quikrete, by the way. Concrete mix that dries. How fast does this dry? And it will be different according to how much mud's in it. Wear a mask. Yeah. 5 quarts. Come on. Oh, it doesn't say. It doesn't say how long it takes to get hard. But it's going to be different. I found that with sheetrock too. The more stuff you mix in, it takes those time restraints and just blows it out the window. So I used to do cob on my old house and then paint sheetrock mud on it as the slip cover. But I would, and then the last layer I would put sheetrock mud mixed with dumpster paint, acrylic paint, and that kept it from rubbing off on your clothes. So, and that worked well except for on the fireplace, around the fireplace, because then you'll have off-gassing and that's not good. I was worried about it being too glossy. Now it's almost too dry. Okay. Oof, cold, cold, cold. Okay, we got clouds coming over, but they ain't rain clouds, so that's good. Put my hay in. And smush the hay in. That's where it hurts with the doggone rocks. Fold it over on itself. And smush it again. Just like making bread. making dough. I don't know. I'm not that great at making bread. My problem. Ouch! That cut. Freaking rocks. Most of that concrete mix that I put in there was rocks. Out of there. Rocks. I need a little more water. Just a little bit though. Rock. Ouch. The rock. Okay. Gee, about that much straw, not a whole lot at a time. Oh, when you wash your hands in a bucket outside first, and then dump that bucket out in the driveway or something, because when you wash your hands and wash all this stuff off in the sink, you plug up your sink, like forever. And then we wound up taking off the P-trap underneath and clearing the stuff out. So we got fortunate that we didn't plug up the sink forever. Cement mix, okay? Just a pro tip there that we learned the hard way. I learned that with pottery too. Wash your hands in a bucket before you go wash your hands. Unless you like replacing plumbing. I mean, if that's your thing, go for it. Okay, those are the consistency that I need. Now, last time I made my little dough balls too big for my hands. How we doing? We're still at 2 people, and those 2 people are talking. I'm sorry. Chicken won't eat it. Chickens don't see color, but okay. You are doing a good job. Thank you. No, they don't see color, but they do plants. You do you, man. Whatever. There's no words fighting over. Hey, ouch. Nobody invited you. That was Batman, by the way. He's one of the vet bills. He needs to have those little dangly bits removed so that he will stop backing up to my kitchen table. He was a not supposed to happen cat. See, at my daughter's house, people dump kitties. And I have a farm, and she goes, Mom, the shelters are full. You want some barn cats? I'm like, yeah, but, I don't know how long it's going to be until I can get them in to get them fixed. So, but they're doing okay. They're just, there's a whole bunch of cats here now. That was a chunk of clay that didn't get mixed in good. That hard gray stuff doesn't, it's really got to be soaked for a while. That's the stuff I used for making pottery. I processed the clay from this place and made some bowls and stuff and a little ocarina. But it took a lot of it was tricky working with it. So when I mixed it with the store-bought stuff, it was a lot better behaving. I don't know what the store-bought stuff is made out of, but it came from like Texas or something. So different soil makeup than we have here. We have aluminum silicate everywhere, like 34% aluminum silicate. And when I use just the gray stuff, and apparently that clay is, I want to say bentonite type clay. It's weird for working with. It cracks really easy, and it dries really fast and gets wet really fast, and it cracks when it dries. It doesn't have a lot of, it looks like it has plasticity, but it's kind of tricky. So little small pieces like pendants, I could make those just fine. And I fired those in my wood stove, made beads, things like that. But making anything bigger, it started getting tricky. Like, I was so mad because I finally figured it out, and I made this big, like this tall bowl. It was a Cherokee pot because my grandma was a quarter Cherokee, and I was working on this inspired by that. I copied a video and did what he did, and I was making it for my aunt. And it's the kind of, they make it, it's an oblong cone shaped type thing, and they put it down in the coals so it has a rounded bottom, so it comes with a ring that you set it on when you take it out of the coals. So, and it was cool looking. And I did it the way they did it. I was trying to follow the tradition, you know. And then I had it drying in my craft room until it was time to fire it, and that puppy broke. I was so mad. That was like weeks of work. Okay. This piece just needs a little more clay, doesn't it? No clay in that one. Sometimes that happens. Too floppy, not enough clay. Not enough straw. I said clay. I meant straw. I think it is a lead. I don't see comments coming for a long time. Okay, that'll stay. Split that one in half. Now the sun's out. All the clouds coming now. There's only one left that's a little gray cloud. Just a little sprinkles up in that cloud. And the rest of them are white puppy clouds that say sunshine. Okay. Now I gotta go over to the other place again. Which means I get to carry y'all with me. Once we're done. Are we done? Don't see anybody here. How do you think? Uh-oh. Okay. Oh, one more person showed up. I'm not being all weird here. I'm just moving. I did my mixing, and now I'm about ready to slap cob on that spot right there where you see chicken wire and no cob. All right. We got 3. Look at you. Can't see the little letters, but I can sort of see the numbers. So that one will go right there. Put the gloppy ones on top. There's a rock. There's another rock. Okay, all these ones on this side are harder, and those ones over there are gloppy. Okay, whatever. In case you're just tuning in, I'm working on a cob wall on my chicken coop. You stand by night in the house alone. In the holy place. Come bless the Lord, come bless the Lord, come bless the Lord. We could use better lighting, couldn't we? I'm going to finish that spot today. I don't know if I'm going to finish that one. Depending on how good the weather is. doing, kitty? Uh-oh. Get back in there. Okay, there's a cloud right up above my head. It has rain in it. But the wind is blowing pretty good, so it might just pass me. I hope. Maybe that kitty. Yeah, there. Do you have to use literally everything in my house for a sharpening post? Good grief. No, I've stuck you back on there about 4 times now. You stay on there. I'm not gonna touch you right now, did you? He says, no, you have to stop what you're doing and pet me right now. I'm gonna have to make another batch. I'm not gonna make it. I have a little hole left. Oh well. Well, I am going to. I'm gonna go ahead and. Sorry about that. I'm gonna call this one because it's gonna rain on us. So I'm trying not to get mud on my phone. Just a bit. See if I can moving things around. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and call it. Thank you for coming.